Hello, I'm Kyle Bradshaw, and welcome to this Cruiser Customizing Tip of the Week. This week we're going to be installing the PowrFlo intake system from Cobra Engineering. A few weeks ago we installed the PowrPro fuel management system. What that did is it regulated the fuel that this bike gets throughout all acceleration and cruise situations. As we noted in that installation, this bike is running a set of Vance and Hines exhaust pipes. So the exhaust pipes are high performance pipes, but they're limited because they're not getting any more air from this stock air box. With this week's tip, we're going to be installing this air kit, which is going to dramatically change the acceleration and handling characteristics of this motorcycle. Why is the PowrFlo such a great step up over stock? Inside this unit we've got a K&N filter. This K&N filter with this open air cleaner assembly is going to flow significantly more air into the motor than the stock setup. The stock opening on this air kit has an opening smaller than the size of a tennis ball. As you can see from the front of this filter, the airflow is almost unrestricted. Now, a question I know that many of you are going to have: once I install this air kit, will I need to modify my air-fuel mixture or rejet? If you're running a carbureted motorcycle, absolutely you must rejet. If you're running a fuel-injected motorcycle, such as this Harley Davidson Sportster behind me, you're going to need to install some sort of fuel management. As I showed you a couple weeks ago, this bike is currently equipped with the Fi2000 PowrPro, which moderates your air fuel at 80 times per second. That's a significant change over anything else out there on the market. Now let's get to the installation, get the stock airbox off the motorcycle, and then we'll begin the step-by-step process of getting this PowrFlo onto the Sportster. Now before we go any further, I want to point out some of the added value that you're going to get by putting a PowrFlo system on your motorcycle. This is an OEM Harley Davidson filter, and as you can see, it is extremely filthy. This is about 5,000 miles worth of road use on this filter, and essentially it's dead. You just throw this away and get a new one. That would run you about $35 or so every time you needed to replace a filter. You can get a K&N replacement for about $75–80. Essentially an OEM lookalike that's going to have K&N filter functionality, which means you can clean it. Cleaning the filter every time it gets dirty versus pitching it and buying a new one, it's a great savings. The PowrFlo filter itself is a K&N filter that's going to give you an enhanced benefit. As you can see from the cone here on the inside, what's going to happen is that air is going to come in the front of the PowrFlo. It's then going to spin around this cone like a venturi effect and then shoot into your intake. More air plus more fuel with an exhaust outlet equals more power. Now back to the installation. Next, we're going to take our two breather bolts and slide our rubber O-rings to the base, just like so. With the O-rings installed on the breather bolts, we're going to go ahead and bring our bracket up here and attach them to our cylinder heads. Now before we snug these down, we're going to go ahead and take our gasket, line it up so we make sure all the holes match, and then slide it in between our bracket and our intake body. Once we make sure all of our holes line up, we're going to go ahead and snug this just a little bit, not tightening it all the way. Next, we take our two breather hoses, set them up in place here, going to the inside. We're now going to take our spacer, align it up here on the back plate, and make sure that all of our holes line up. As you can see here at the top, these are where our two breather hoses are going to connect in the back. We're now going to take our three lock washers, set them down into place here on the face of the adapter, set our three screws into place. We're now going to attach this to the front of the intake manifold and attach our two hoses. With everything else already lined up and in place, I'm going to go ahead and remove the breather hose off of my breather bolts, and I'm now going to go ahead and finish the tightening of these breather bolts. Once the breather bolts are tight, you're going to make sure that the breather hose is pushed all the way into the back of this housing, and then reconnect it to the breather bolt. With our backing plate and adapter now in place, we can take our PowrFlo filter, we can set it in place. Now we're going to take this cover, and from the back side we're going to attach these three bolts into these three holes. Now that we got her all buttoned up and running, let's get her out on the road and see what the butt dyno has to tell us. We'll then ride her over to the DynoJet dynamometer and see what the numbers truly have to say for themselves. Thank you for watching this week's Cruiser Customizing Tip of the Week. Until next week, take care and ride safe.